So I will record today's session and then we'll be able to share it because there was a few colleagues that had asked if we could record it and pass it on as well. So yes, thank you for reminding me. All right, so we've had a quick intro from Janine, and Janine's going to give us a quick update as to what's happening from Study Gold Coast. Thanks, Janine.
Thanks, Donna. So I know that you're all here to learn about career tools, but it's important context, I think, to just update you on what's been happening at Study Gold Coast. And I'll fly through this quite quickly. So really, we're all back at the office. We've got a roster in place where we're working half the team in the office, half the team at home. But it's been really nice to be back in the office, connecting with some of our members face to face, as well as having the Student Hub open again. So we're very much, you know, we continue to work throughout the whole last couple of months, but we're very much back on board at our office premises as well as the hub. We've been planning for the year ahead, so our budget's been approved for the coming financial year. So we're really planning on how we're going to focus our efforts to get the best outcomes possible. We're continuing to work with Austrade as well as at a state level to advocate for the sector. So that's around ensuring that we're able to welcome international students back to our shores sometime soon in a safe way, as well as advocating for student support. We're continuing to support our members. We have 69 members and another few due to come on board soon. We've offered a 50% discount to membership fees for the next financial year as well. So we've just completed our membership survey, so I hope that some of you might have been able to contribute to that, but that's really giving us some good insights into where we need to be focusing our efforts in the coming year. If we just move on, so we've got 4 pillars, the first one being attraction, second, experience and support, third, employability, fourth, retention. So in terms of attraction, we've got a 3-stage plan to try and rebuild the sector. The first one is we're going out with campaigns to get students to begin studying online. So we'd like them to continue enrolling and studying online. So this is less for the school sector, obviously, but for the RTOs as well as the universities, we're saying study online and then come and join us when you can. We still don't have clarification yet as to whether students continue to accumulate those post-study work rights when they're studying online versus being here on shore. We're waiting for the Department of Home Affairs to give us an update on that. So the study online piece, we also have an accommodation grant. So what we're trying to do is entice onshore international students. So those that may have been studying in, say, Melbourne or Sydney and maybe looking to pathway to another course, we're looking to attract them to the Gold Coast with an accommodation grant, which is 10 weeks free accommodation, preferably at homestay, and that includes food as well. So we launched that about a week ago, and initially we've got 100 places, and we've had about 70 applications started for that we're going to be trawling through. So that's a nice project that we're working with the city on to really try and stimulate the local economy, because all of those funds, ideally, if most students are channeled into homestay, will go directly into the families, Gold Coast families. We also have ongoing digital campaigns in our key markets, just reiterating our regional status and our great quality education offering. And we're also launching virtual tours. So we're going to have an online platform, and a group of our members, including our core members, we're going to offer sort of virtual tours to be loaded up onto that site to try and, because we can't do our familials at the moment or our study tours, this is just another way for our target market to see our great quality education offering. So that's really the attraction piece. Around experience and support, I mentioned that our hub is back open. It's great to see the influx of students coming in. We obviously have a COVID safe plan in place, and we're making sure that we're complying with all those requirements, but we do have a steady stream of students coming in. We're also offering food relief. So in the last few weeks, we've distributed over 20,000 frozen meals on the Gold Coast to international students, and grocery packs also, so over 1,000 grocery packs, and that food relief is continuing. So students, this is just for international students for now because they don't have access to the same kind of support as our domestic students. They can access that food relief by registering at our website. We, I guess similar to a lot of businesses, we've learned over these last couple of months that there are some positives and some upside in delivering our services online. So students have been really responsive to the transition of our student hub to a virtual hub. So going forward, rather than dropping the online option, we're actually going to go forward with a blended model. So all students can access counselling either online or face-to-face, and that's both international students, domestic students, school students. We're open and available for everyone. Our Mayor's Student Ambassador program is continuing. It's unfortunate that they haven't had the same sort of face-to-face experiences as previous cohorts, but we're really making sure that this last half of the year that they have a great experience and are able to access all of the benefits of the program. The next one is around employability. So the results of our member survey really highlighted that our members are wanting us to focus and scale up our employability offering. So this is about making sure that the educators at all of our member institutions have all of the tools and resources they need to enhance students' employability. It's also about connecting industry with the education sector. So we've got some exciting ideas around how we can improve the feedback loop between industry and the education sector. We're also applying for some funding through the National Careers Institute, and that's to scale up our careers outreach program. So, Donna has some support there, as well as our Talent for Business Growth program. So that's our internship program. So we're wanting to make sure that businesses on the Gold Coast are, championing this idea of nurturing student talent, and we're able to offer students from all sectors of education an opportunity to undertake internships. We have an exciting tech platform that we're also looking at there. And the last one that we focus on is retention. So this is about making sure that domestic students on the Gold Coast feel that they have access to a full range of career and education opportunities without having to leave our city. And the Virtual Careers Festival has been key to that this year. We've gone online, and Kate, who's on our call within our team, leads that event. So we're keen to see that particular event evolve next year. We also annually do our EQI welcome. So all of the international, excuse me, school students that come twice a year, we welcome them at Bond University. And we're also looking at launching some other campaigns to help engage those students, because we'd love for them, when they finish their school experience, to go on to tertiary education here in our city. We also are workshopping some ideas to engage parents a little bit more in the career conversation. And in due course, I'm sure Donna will be seeking your input on how we can perhaps contribute to involving parents more. So that's really the update, a really rapid update from Study Gold Coast. And we, as I said, we had our whole of office team planning day yesterday, and the Careers Alliance group was a topic of conversation. And it was very much, we all agreed that this group of people and our connection with you and our ongoing support is key to helping us with this employability and retention sort of goals that we have. So looking forward to perhaps our next catch up, which although the online forum is convenient, we'd still love to catch up and network with you all face to face. Thanks, Donna, over to you.
Great, thanks Janine, that was excellent. Great little recap as to what we've been up to. Yeah, we had a really great day yesterday, and I'll touch on a bit of the technology that we used yesterday that might actually add value to your practice as well while you're out at the and your workplace also. So we're just going to move on to now and have a quick look at the Virtual Careers Festival that's been online, well, that is online. So Kate, who's online with us as well this morning, Kate is our fabulous event coordinator who's pulled this event together. So I'm just going to go through, and I'm sure, Kate, you'll jump in if there's anything I've missed. And we're just going to have a little quick tour of the Careers Festival and how you can use this with your students. So I'm just going to pop that up now. That's just working my mouse at the moment. All right, let's jump on and have a look at this. All right. Okay, so hopefully now you can see my new share, which is some great little images of the Gold Coast. Can everyone see the Study Gold Coast website?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so from the website here, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the Virtual Careers Festival so that when you're talking to your students, you can still provide them a bit of an overview as to the resources they can find on there. It's still available until the end of July, so we'd love for you to encourage your students to get on there and have a bit of an explore before it goes offline again. So to access the Virtual Careers Festival, you just go to the Study Gold Coast website, and then from here you go to Study and you click on the Careers Festival. It'll then bring up a new page, which will look like this, and you just then click on Enter Here. Okay, so from here, the students will need to register. I've conveniently already registered, so I'm just going to log in. And we're just going to have a look at a few key areas within the Virtual Careers Festival. If you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to ask them. Kate's online as well, and she's going to be monitoring the chat function. So if you don't want to share vocally, that's fine. Please use the chat function there, and we'll be able to answer any of those questions as well. So this is the lobby. So when they register for the Careers Festival, they'll come to this home page, which you can see here is the lobby. From here, they can then click on different education providers. The key things I would like to point out to you, though, is from here is the exhibit hall, which is this button here. We click on the exhibit hall, it then takes them to another page where you can see again all the education providers listed along the top here. So from here, they can then explore different providers. We've got over 22 exhibitors that are listed here. So from here, they can look at each institute, they can look at around the different courses that they offer, they can find course information, any upcoming events that they've got as well. There's videos, there's information on how do they get admission into that institute, also information on scholarships, and they can also leave questions. Also on this page here, you can see here is this chance to win. So this is a great little competition for students to get involved with as well. So if they click on that competition button, they just need to refer a friend and they're going to a chance to win a $250 gift card. So that's from there as well. The other thing that they can do is if we go into one of these providers here, they can then see there's a description of them, there's a number of videos, and there's also documents. If, for example, they want to look at this, the Institute's course brochure, they can then add it to their swag bag. So hopefully you can see here over on the right-hand side of your screen, they can add any information or documents as they're navigating through the Virtual Careers Festival and add that to their swag bag. From there, they can then email that information to themselves so they can access that at a later stage. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of the exhibit hall and the type of information that they can find in there. Is there anything else you want to add, Kate, on this slide?
No, that covers that area, Donna. You're going well.
Okay, great. All right, so from the exhibit hall, they can then go into the auditorium. So that's again along the top of the bar here as well. If we go into the auditorium, they then click into the center of the screen there, and you can then see there's a number of videos from our institutions as well. There's also career information and guidance. So a number of our career, I guess, colleagues of mine, we've put together a number of videos. So you can see there's one on networking with LinkedIn. How do they go about searching and applying for jobs? How do they go about designing their career? How do they build a professional profile? So there's a number of videos there as well that you could refer your students to that they could go through and have a look at as well. We also had some live webinars that were really actively engaged with as well. And there's a number of other resources they can find in here also. Okay, so that's in the career resources. So that's just to give you a bit of an idea of the Virtual Careers Festival. We'd really love to get a few more students on board and engaging with the Virtual Careers Festival, just so they understand what their options are. Tom, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, Don, I was just going to check in. Once the Careers Festival closes, those resources, videos, is there going to be another way of accessing those?
We can do. What I'm actually looking at the moment, Tom, aligned with that, is that a few of the schools have actually reached out to me to see if I can do some sort of short 15-minute career videos.
Yep.
So what I'm actually looking, because the ones that are recorded in the actual Careers Festival are sort of like 20 to 40 minutes long. So what I'm actually doing is taking those topics and actually creating like sort of bite-size short videos of sort of 15 minutes duration. So that's a little project that I'll be working on sort of once we get to, or perhaps in July, and then I'll have those available for schools to have access to in the new term. Yep.
I think that'd be pretty useful because then we can sort of put links to it from our sort of resources too. Yeah, so that sounds great.
Great. So what I'd love to hear is what are the sort of the key topics that you think students would want. So perhaps if you, we're going to go to a slide to that in a moment, but yeah, these are the sort of things that, you know, if you tell me what you think your students need or what they'd see value in, then yeah, please share those topic ideas. And then when I'm going around developing those sort of short career videos, then I can make sure that I'm obviously getting on point and talking about the topics that are of interest and value to your students. All right, so thanks for that, Tom. Any other comments at this point around the Virtual Careers Festival? Anyone? No? Okay, yeah, so Lynn's just said that would be, yeah, the career videos would be a good idea. So yeah, so we'll certainly get those up and running and share them with you also. So we've also added a couple of other people to the webinar this morning, so welcome. So thanks for joining us. So moving on, so any other questions? Everyone's happy with the Virtual Careers Festival? As I mentioned, it's still live until the end of July. So yeah, we just really encourage you to share the link with your students. And as I said, if they've got any questions around the different providers on the Gold Coast, what are their pathways? If they need career information, there are a number of resources on there for them. All right.
I'm just going to quickly chime in, Donna, before you run away. Just a thing to note is obviously week 10's coming up, and if that's quiet for the students, it's a great week to get them online. So we're going to have all the universities doing their own different webinar sessions as well. So between the 22nd and the 26th, they're mostly in the afternoon and the evening, which is a good opportunity for when they get home. They can jump on and choose which one they want to look at. So I think Griffith are doing a few. So yeah, if you can promote it to them for that week, that might be useful use of their time in that last week of school for the term.
Great. So can you maybe just pop in the chat there, Kate, those dates so that everyone can see? So I think, oh, is it up here? Yes, 22nd. Is that one of those days that you're talking about up here, Kate? Exhibitor live webinars 22nd.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for that. All right, so let's move on. So we're just going to pop back to the presentation. So I'm just going to go back and do a different share. Here we go. All right, so that just gave you a bit of an overview of the Virtual Careers Festival. So what I'd like to talk about now is moving on to what really today's session is about. And Kate's going to give us a quick little overview to our member highlight that we always like to talk about as well in our Careers Alliance. So Kate, do you want to have a quick chat about who our member of the moment is this Careers Alliance, please?
Yeah, no worries. So we've got both of the ladies online, but we've got Upper Cooma State College. So they put an application in for our student support framework. So that was an opportunity for all of our members to access $3,000 worth to perhaps assist their students. So what they did is they put a bit of a care package together for their year 11 and 12 students who are perhaps struggling through COVID-19. Obviously the government said come back to school a few weeks earlier, so they put a bit of a care package together to assist them with that transition back to school. I think that included a few different items there, some personal support resources for them, a handwritten postcard of encouragement, some Kit Kats to have a break, the printed flyer with the Virtual Careers Festival, which is awesome. Thank you ladies for sharing that one. the Headspace postcard, an information wallet card, a bit of a snack voucher to McDonald's, a Coles gift card, and a little bit of a gift from the college itself. So it seemed like they were really appreciative of that, considering not every student probably did it really easy through COVID-19 and learning from home. So I think there's a lot of students that appreciated that support.
Yeah, wonderful. So, yeah, Helen and Lynn are online with us today. Any comments you want to add to that? The few conversations we had, it sounded like it was quite a successful initiative, and the students were certainly very grateful for the opportunity. Did you guys feel the love from the students for putting this all together?
Yeah, I thought it was really well. The students were really surprised.
Also, Helen, it's a bit hard to hear you. Are you able to turn up your audio at all?
Sorry, I don't know. Is that any better?
Oh, yeah, we can kind of hear you.
Okay. So maybe we can talk, but anyway, the students were extremely surprised when we brought it. So, you know, it was a lovely thing. They weren't expecting it. And, you know, lots of really positive comments from the kids. And when they saw, you know, the contents of everything, obviously they were, yeah, just really chuffed and pleased that they've been thought of. And probably our favourite comment, Lynn can probably agree, was right at the end when we gave out, and one of the students actually said, "Oh my gosh, it must have taken you so much effort to do this for every single person." So yeah, that was really lovely that someone actually, you know, could notice and appreciate that it was quite a big effort. We did it for all the year 12s and all the year 11s. They had slightly different packs. Yeah, it was great. And thank you so much to Study Gold Coast. Obviously, we would never have been able to do it without your support. So that was a brilliant initiative. And, you know, the fact that we have had some money there so that we could actually spend it on the kids and kind of get them re-engaged at school was just really brilliant. So thank you.
Oh, I think we've just lost some audio there.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, I think maybe my.
Donna, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, it's a bit better.
Oh dear, don't you love technology?
You're a bit faint though.
All right, I haven't changed anything. I was just going to ask Helen, how many packs did you have to make up in the end?
So we had 145 year 12s and 58 or something year 11, something like that.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging the framework and that it was really successful. So that's wonderful feedback for us. So thank you very much. All right, so let's move on. If you do have any other issues with hearing me, please let me know, and I might actually just jump from my Wi-Fi and pop onto my hotspot. So just let me know how the sound goes.
It's great now, Donna.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Janine. All right, so let's crack on. So I want to talk to you about some career resources that I've used throughout my practice that might be useful to you. Please feel free to add any other comments or any other suggestions that you might have that might be useful. We really want this platform with the Careers Alliance to be a place where we can collaborate. Obviously, I don't have all the answers, so I'd love to hear any other resources that you feel might be appropriate that we can share with each other. So the ones that I wanted to sort of touch on today was some resources within My Future, JobStart, Course Finder, and also the Careers Explorers tool. So we'll just get started. And before we do that, as Janine mentioned at the start of the session, we really want to get your feedback and grow the Careers Alliance so that it is a platform for us to be able to support each other when it comes to careers education within our different workplaces. So we'd love to, at the end of today's session, we're going to have a quick discussion around some ideas for future topics or themes. You know, I kind of was proposing maybe doing a series of career tools, you know, like, so today's really all about career planning and online resources, but we could have other topics, say, around networking tools, or, you know, interviewing tools, whatever it might be that you think would be useful. Also, if you have any ideas of guest speakers that you'd like to get involved on this platform as well, we'd love to hear from that. So yeah, feel free to use the chat function and we'll keep track of that. And then we can obviously use that when it helps to inform what we do for future events. You can also email me also, which I've just popped my email address on that page. All right, so what I would like to start with today is just, this is just an overview of some of the career resources that I've used in the past and currently use as well. So I've kind of broken them down into different sections. You can see the top left-hand corner is starting from online career tools. I've then moved across to job sites, then down to the bottom to volunteering, and then apprenticeships and traineeships. So these are just a number of online resources that I find are quite useful and helpful. I'm not going to go through all of them today, but this is where I was sort of thinking is that if we feel there could be a need for future events, that we look at specific other areas within career education. So the ones I'm going to talk to you today are around My Future Job Start. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit around some career tools, so how students can find their career pathway. I'm also going to mention a couple of podcasts that I've come across that I think are quite useful. I also want to share with you some technology around how can you make your career presentations engaging with your students. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And I've also listed up there the top 100 employers. So this is a great resource. A lot of students that I come across are still unaware of graduate programs. And so the top 100 employees is a great website through Grad Australia where they can go on and actually search for graduate opportunities. And this is particularly useful for those who are at university. But even for those in high school who want to start planning out their future career pathways, it's a great way to be able to identify the key industries and also the employers, the top 100 employers in Australia. So that just gives you a snapshot of a number of resources that I use. And what I want to start with today is really having a look at My Future. So I'm going to actually just jump online so we can actually use this a bit more interactive. So I'm just going to go back and share my page and we'll go and have a little explore of My Future. Okay, so My Future is a government website. So can you maybe just put a thumbs up if you've used My Future in the past, or let me know how you've used it or you haven't used it at all. But I think it's a great place, particularly for those who are exploring career pathways. The great thing about it is that once you've created a login, students can use it for their lifelong of their career planning. So they can always come back and revisit it. I'm already logged in, so that's good. Let's go and jump in. So when you go to the home page, it'll come up with a number of options. So the great one with this is they can actually do a career quiz, and this is one that I've done in the past, so then they can always go back and visit it and sort of see as perhaps their priorities change. They can go through there and really explore their personality types, what sort of environment they particularly see themselves working in. So that's quite a good, useful starting point, is the career quiz there. A couple of the other ones that I find quite useful are the career bullseyes. I'm not sure if many of you have come across those before, but again, it's by industry. So again, particularly for those those students in high school, they can go to a particular subject. This is great when it helps informing them around their set planning as well. So working from level 4 into level 1, level 4 is where you would need to have a tertiary or bachelor's degree and above, working inwards to your lesser qualifications, down to sort of your vet qualifications. So they can then click on any of these occupations. So let's go and have a look at, say, a dog handler or trainer. They could go into that occupation. It gives them an overview. It talks about the main tasks. I quite like this because a lot of students, when they go to do their future career planning, don't actually think about what are the tasks that are going to be my everyday when I do this job as a future career. So actually getting them to identify the particular tasks for the potential jobs or occupations they are interested in is quite a good starting point as well. The other great thing from here, you can look at, there's some career videos, so they can go and see the day in the life of someone as a pet groomer or a security dog handler. They can look at other occupations. It then talks about pathways. So we can see here they need to have a Cert 3 or 4 higher. It can also show them prospects. So what can they earn as on an average salary? How many job openings? And there's also some great industry websites as well. So this is a great place to sort of help students, and I see this as an opportunity to say, right, once you've done your career quiz, you've come up with some occupations or industries of industry, now I want you to go away and tell me what are 3 tasks that that occupation needs to do, what is the industry body for that, that occupation, and what is the average salary. So this is just a great way that you could sort of start building some resources or activities when it comes to doing your career planning with your students. So back to the home page. So that's really where you can go into different industries. And use that through those careers bullseyes. They can also look at specific courses. And I quite like these case studies as well. So once you go into the case studies here, you can then look at a number of different resources as well. Okay, so an actor's career pathway, engineering. So there's a number of different case studies that students can look at also. The last point that I really like with My Future that I think could be quite useful is if you scroll to the bottom, there's a little tab here that says Assist Others. So if you click on the Assist Others, there's actually loads of resources in there for career practitioners and teachers. It talks about what model they use to underpin the curriculum that is through My Future. There's a number of teacher resources. And I know that Lynn and I have been having some conversations about how do we develop some meaningful activities, and there are some great resources in here as well. The other one that I think is quite useful, you can see there's job search resources, there's occupation videos, there's a whole library of them that you can go in there, and that could be part of an activity for your students as well. All right, I want you to go in there and look at a couple of videos around different occupations of interest. So that just gives you a little bit of an overview of My Future. Has anyone else used this in any other particular ways that I haven't mentioned that they'd be happy to share? Feel free to comment. I've just unmuted you all, so if anyone wants to share any other ways that they use My Future, please feel free. The last thing I just wanted to show you as well is this Career Insight. So I love this section as well, that in the Career Insight, you can look at graduate programs, there's leadership, volunteering, work integrated learning, and there's also some information around digital footprints, which I know is quite topical in some of your schools as well. So there's some great little resources in there also. Okay, around disability, what are your rights as a casual employee? Okay, so that's quite useful as well when you've got younger students going out finding their first casual job. All right, so that's My Future. Any comments? Anyone would like to add anything else? One I'd like to talk to you about is Job Jumpstart. So I'm just going to click into this one. Okay, so Job Jumpstart, again, is another government organisation that I find has got some quite useful tools in here also. In particular, they've got ones around finding employment, building careers, resources, and there's also a number of tools in here for advisors. So you can see here career advisors and teachers. You can go into here and there's quite a few resources available to you also. Okay, so job search strategy, applying for jobs. And they actually have some great, like there's a little resume quiz, and they have a number of hard copy products. So the one that I had a look at was this one here called the Job Search Basics Workbook. Okay, so this is the workbook that you can download, that you can work through with your students, and it just talks about, what are their preferences. It talks about understanding employers and what they require, job applications and interviews. So there's quite a few resources in there that are already pre-existing, so you don't have to build the content yourself. So I thought that would probably be worth sharing with you also. All right, so that's, we've looked at My Future, Job Start. The next one I wanted to go to is actually back onto Study Gold Coast website. So this is really aimed at providers on the Gold Coast. So again, if we go into this study button here, the first thing I wanted to share with you is the course finder. So this is where students can go in here, and if they know the type of course they're wanting to study, They can search for it up in here. They can search by institute. They can search by course. And then they can go and there'll be lots of information. So if we go and have a look, say, for Grey Place, search in business administration, they can go into that link. And again, it talks about the subject. It talks about what they need to do to get further information as well. So that's our little course finder for local courses on the Gold Coast with our member institutions. The other one I wanted to show with you is our little Careers Explorer tool. I've shown this with a few students and they quite like it because it's really simple. It's got 2 questions. So it's called the Careers Explorer. So if we go into that, we'll have a look. Janine and Kate, how's the sound? It's really strange sitting and talking to myself.
Sound is good, Donna.
Great, thanks, Janine. Okay, so now this is the Gold Coast Careers Explorer tool. So this is a fantastic little tool that you can use with your students to build in an activity. So again, all they need to do is they go to the Gold Coast Careers Explorer and they click on Let's Begin. From here, there's 2 questions. The first one is, I can see myself working in a fast-paced career. So this is someone who likes excitement, multitasking, and working to deadlines. If you've got access to another screen at home, you can either have a go at this while we go through it as well. Or are you someone who prefers a slow-paced career? Are you patient, precise? Do you like to have time to create research? So we'll go and have a look at this as an option. So we'll go into slow-paced careers. And then the second step is just around preferences. So does the person prefer teaching and helping people? Are you someone who likes to be creative, spontaneous, and you value self-expression? Or are you perhaps someone who enjoys researching and finding solutions to problems? Or are you someone who likes to plan or follow the rule book? So we'll go into this middle one here and have a look at researching and finding solutions to problems. So once the student clicks into that, it then filters through and gives them a number of options around occupations. So this then describes them as a thinker, okay? And it goes through and sort of says it focuses on these sort of skills. The great thing from here is that what I find with a lot of students is that they're very limited to what they know. So we want to really just give them the opportunities to become more informed around what are their occupations that they can choose and find out more about. So this is really Gold Coast specific. And from this page, they can then email the results to themselves. Oops, if you can see here, email search results. So this is great because then, you know, when they're at home or they're sitting on the bus to and from school, they can then sort of start exploring occupations. Again, I see this as a great opportunity to be able to build a bit of an activity for them. All right, so I want you to go away, do the 2-step career quiz, and then I want you to come up with 4 occupations that are of interest. And then somewhere that you can then start those conversations with parents as well. Okay, so go away, have a chat to your parents, come back, and then let's build it out and find out, all right, well, what are the study requirements? Do you need to go to university? Is it a pathway through vet that you can do? And then it really helps around those sort of planning and sort of coming up with different outcomes and actions to help them sort of plan their future career as well. So from here, they can email those results. They can then go through, and from here gives them quite a snapshot. So if we go and look at aged and a disabled carer, once they go into this, again, it shows where they can study this on the Gold Coast. It tells them whether the job's in demand or not. It also gives them an average weekly wage and also gives them options of where they could work on the Gold Coast. The other part that I again focus on again is identifying what are the tasks that they'll be doing in that day-to-day job. So, you know, it's really trying to get students to understand and reflecting on, okay, well, if this is going to be my day-to-day job, can I see myself doing these tasks? And then it could be coming into an option of like, all right, let's build now a list of your different occupations. Tell me why you think this is a job of interest. Could you see yourself doing it as a day-to-day task? I now want you to go and see if you can find someone through LinkedIn or through your community who does this as an occupation and find out more about it. What do they like about it? What don't they like about it? So this is just another great little tool to help students really decide what sort of career pathway they might want to take. Once they go back to the results, or they can email those results to themselves. They can also email those individual career options as well. The other great thing is that some of the occupations, if we look over here, for example, an architect, if they click into the architect, there's an actual little video that our content editors at Study Gold Coast have gone around and actually interviewed and taken some short videos of people on the Gold Coast doing these jobs. So again, it's to help those students sort of see there's a real pathway and to be able to connect that, hey, these are jobs that I could be doing on the Gold Coast. And this just helps them, again, you know, be able to reflect and see if this could be a pathway for them. So that's just another little tool that we've pulled together with Study Gold Coast. And again, it's just a nice, easy way for them to help navigate. If you don't have a long time with your students, they could easily go in there, have a look at it. They could email those results themselves. And again, it's another way to build in some really great little career activities to help them navigate and come up with different options when it comes to looking at their future career pathways. All right, so that is giving us a bit of an idea of a number of career resources that I've used that I think could be quite helpful. Please now feel free to add any other websites or resources that you use that you think would be really valuable to everybody else within this group as well. Okay, so what I thought we might do, it's 9:20. I thought we might just going to have a quick 5-minute cup of tea break or bathroom break and then come back. Once we come back, I really wanted to talk to you about is then let's look at understanding what careers confidence students have when it comes to career tools. I've got a nice little questionnaire I'd love to share with you. I then want to talk to you about some career stories to again help provide context to students. I'm going to talk to you about Mentimeter and an interactive presentation that I think you could really use in your practice and might help also. And then we'll finish off with a couple of other things. We're now going to have a 5-minute cup of tea break. And then please come back. So we'll start again in 5 minutes, and then we're going to have a look at career confidence and how do we gauge with our students how confident they are about their future career planning and pathways. So what I wanted to talk about now is a tool that I've come across through Cole McCowan. So Cole McCowan's a bit of a legend on the Gold Coast around career education. He is a Gold Coaster. He's written a number of books or collaborated across a number of career textbooks, and there's an image of one on the right that I've used and found this questionnaire from. So Cole's been working in career education, was up at QUT for years in their career team, heading that up. He's worked across a number of sectors as well as internationally as well in career education. And what I wanted to share with you here is what he's come up with, the career education development scale for high school students. He's got a number of other resources, and the textbook's great. It's full of loads of tools that you can use in your career practice as well. But the reason I wanted to share this is part of career education is trying to gauge how confident are our students with their career choices and their career planning. So this is a great little tool that I would encourage you to share with your students at the start of your, before any program, just to see how confident they are. And then at the end of any initiatives or projects or programs that you've implemented, really gauge as to where they are now, sort of pre and post any career intervention that you might come up with. So this one here, you can see there's a number of questions. There's a number around the self. So how much understanding do they have or confidence do they have around how, you know, the interests relate to their future careers. Then it has a couple of questions around who are their influences. So again, this is talking about parents. You know, so I have a good understanding of my parents' views regarding future courses. So I think this is great that it can also help you tailor, find out where the gaps are in their career knowledge so that you can really tailor any specific interventions to where your cohort might be or your individual that you're working with. It also talks about, you know, what opportunities. They have a good understanding of the world of work, what few career options there are. There's a great little couple of questions on setting goals, again, making decisions, taking action, reflecting and reviewing, and an overall confidence scale. So this is a great tool that I just thought was worth sharing with you because I believe it can really help inform your career planning and any interventions that you might have throughout your career practice. So that's through Cole McCowan's, and the book's called Career Education and Development. Again, if you have any other great books that you'd like to share with us, I mean, there's a couple of others here that I've come across. One is called Designing Your Career by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. You know, I'd love to be able to, through our collaboration, is come up with a whole suite of resources around career education that we can share with each other. So please feel free to share any others, ideas or books that you think might be add value. So that's just something I want to touch on around career education and specifically around helping students or you understanding how confident they are around these different areas of career education and career planning. Any questions or thoughts on the career confidence scale? Has anyone used that? Anyone come across that before? No? Maybe you have, maybe you're being shy.
No.
Anyone? No? Okay, so it's quite another little tool I thought might be nice to share with you. Okay, so just to carry on with, what I want to talk to you now about is sharing career stories. Again, I believe this is another way that we can really engage with our students, is to actually hear from other students or other people in industry, so it can help inform their decisions when it comes to career planning as well. So the ones that I was going to share with you is just this page here. So there's a couple of tools that I've come across. This one is actually a Study Gold Coast podcast that is currently in progress. It's fabulous. It's called Tomorrow Is Mine, and I've put the website up there. And it's just a series of podcasts from students of the Gold Coast around, you know, their diverse background, their journey to this point. And it's some really great stories that I'd certainly encourage you to share or to listen to yourself. The other great little podcast I've come across is this one called Explore Careers. And they've got loads of other resources as well, but it's just, they've got a number of podcasts that I think, again, you could share with your students. And it's around different industries. So they have, say, for example, Mainfreight, someone who works in their administration or in their logistics team, and it's their stories about how did they get into that career, what do they like about it. So again, it's hearing from people in the industry, talking about specific careers as well. So they've got some really great little resources, and their podcasts I think are quite worthy as well. So that one's Explore Careers. Career videos, again, I think is a fantastic way to be able to engage with your students, so it's not just you talking at them, but, you know, perhaps part of your practice is sharing different case studies, different career videos around different topics around career education and career planning. And as I've already touched on, My Future certainly has a number of career videos. Also mentioned around the Career Insights. There's those graduate programs. There's a number, you know, there's so many resources around different occupations. So again, I see that as another platform to be able to engage with students around, okay, right, I want you to go off and watch a couple of podcasts, or listen to a couple of podcasts, or perhaps go and watch a couple of little short videos on different occupations. And then you can build an activity into that as well. Again, it's just helping them become informed around their future career choices. As I mentioned also, the Gold Coast Careers Explorer, when they go through and do that little short quiz, there's obviously a number of career videos around different occupations that they can do on the Gold Coast as well. So these just to give you a few ideas of how you can really engage with your students, not just in a classroom, but actually giving them opportunities to go off and explore different resources that are available to them as well. So Helen, I just want to hear a bit more about what your comment. You just said, I wasn't sure about the students knowing parents' perceptions part. What do you mean by that? Are you there, Helen? Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little bit faint.
Okay, great. Because I can't find my buttons. Sorry. In that questionnaire thing that you had up there, I just wasn't sure about that section filling out what the kids thought their parents looked for them.
I'll just go back to it. So this part here where it says about influences. Was that the one? Yeah. So what's your point?
Oh yeah, okay. So a lot of kids don't have an understanding of that, and I just wasn't really sure whether it was relevant to what the kids were thinking. But you know, anyway, it was just a comment.
No, that's a great point. So I think the reason that Coles included that in the questionnaire is so that if you're understanding that what influences parents have on students' decisions making around careers, if you kind of coming across and you say, you know, I've done this with a group of students, and you might find that that's a real area across that cohort that don't, you know, they perhaps don't feel that their parents are engaged or understand what the options are for their student or for their children, then that could be an opportunity for you to perhaps pull together a little parent information session to sort of say, hey, we just want to give you an update on these are the sort of conversations we're having with your children around career planning and the influence that you can have.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I get that. I guess from my perspective, it's probably just too much to be able to do it with a whole cohort of kids and actually look at their responses around that. It was really just, I guess, something that I would have done, kind of with a one-on-one or just a very small group of friends that might come to chat about their careers. That's all.
Yeah, so I guess it can be used either. The idea is that the way that I think it could add value is by actually doing it as part of a cohort. So say if you did with your year 7 students and then you did it again at the end of year 8, so then you could sort of see how they're changing and perhaps your focus might change depending on what the answers come back from each of those cohorts.
Yeah, we don't have the time and manpower to kind of do those things at that level, is what I'm saying. Like that, you're talking, 200 kids and analysing their stuff. We just don't have that capacity to do that.
Yeah, but that's a great point because I know that USQ, Peter McElveen, I'm not sure if you've come across him before, but he's really into data. So he's actually taken this, and when I spoke to Col about the questionnaire, they're looking at a way of being able to digitalize this so that you can then get the kids to do this digitally, and then it actually generates all that data for you.
That would be so much better, and that would be useful.
Yes. Exactly. So that's great. So this is why I wanted to show you this, to sort of say, would this be of value? Maybe this is something that we need to look at. If people out there are sort of saying, yes, I think this would be useful out in our practice, then this gives another way of being able to actually digitalize it so that you're right. You can actually then go and analyze the results per cohort, and then it can, then it informs you as to what you do with them around the different parts of their career planning.
Yeah.
So maybe what we might do, that might be a great opportunity, that if it's something that the group's interested in, maybe it's something we get Peter or Cole to come in and have a bit more of a talk about and sort of share how do they go about, can we then scale it so that people can use this a bit more freely and, not so it's not such a burden in trying to analyse the data.
Yeah.
Okay, great. No, that's a great point. Yep, thanks for sharing. Anyone else got any comments, or can you just maybe put a comment in chat if you think the career questionnaire or, making it digital and the data collecting would be useful? Can you maybe, if you think that's something that you'd like us to follow up with, please just pop a comment in the chat, would be fantastic. All right, great. Thanks, Helen.
Okay.
All right, so yes, just moving on. So the career stories. So these are just another, again, some more resources just to help highlight the different pathways that students can look at. So it's more, I guess, using different mediums to engage with them. So using different career videos, looking at case studies, and then having these podcasts as well. The last point on the page is around the professional associations. I just thought it might be worth mentioning to you that for your own career practice, if you're wanting to be part of an organisation that perhaps has different networking opportunities, has a number of career resources as well, and just to be able to be part of a community around career education, there's 2 that I've popped up on this screen. There are others, and I'd love to hear about those as well. So the first one is the Career Development Association of Australia. So this is so they work across community with career development practitioners, across schools, and it's anyone who has an interest in career education and career development. This is the national body for it, and they have different levels of membership as well. So even if you don't have a career practitioner qualification, you can still become like an associate member, so you still have access to all the community support. You can also have access to different webinars and career resources available to you as well, and it just gives you another platform to be able to engage with other people in your area. The other one is ASEAN. So this is the Australian Collaborative Education. So this is around WIL, so work integrated learning. So again, if you work in that space, this could be another professional association that you might be interested in joining. I know for those of you who work in the tertiary sector, you've got NAGCAS. That's also another professional association that you may be interested in joining also. I think it's important that we mention these associations so it helps with our own professional development. And so I'd also love to hear if you've got any other organisations out there that you think would add value to our conversations. So please feel free to share those also. All right, so let's moving along. The next one I wanted to share with you is around interactive presentations. So some of you may have come across with this. We actually used this yesterday in our staff career planning day at Study Gold Coast. I actually use Mentimeter, which is one platform that you can use. And I think it would be a great tool if you're an educator to be able to use this as part of your practice. So the way we used it yesterday, I might just show you the little video first, actually, and then we can talk about how we use that to help engage our students in conversations around careers or any topic that you may want to share with them. So I'm just going to show you the little video, and it just talks to you a little bit about what Mentimeter is or what an interactive presentation can do for you in your education practice. Hopefully my link will work. My internet's good.
There is too much one-way communications in lectures and workshops and in regular business meetings. And what we're trying to do is a very, very simple but powerful.
Can everyone hear that?
Interaction tool, and this is Mentimeter. Everybody wants to be heard. And the process of using Mentimeter is quite simple. You create a question, click Start Presenting. The audience then just grab their phone, go to a specific URL, enters the code, and submits the answer.
When you visualize the answers, it makes people think and reflect, and then you can start a discussion from there.
With Mentimeter, everybody has an equal opportunity to voice their opinion. You're not affected by anybody in the room. The input you provide is unbiased. And when you're part of the result, you want to motivate the result.
Mentimeter makes people interact in a new and innovative way.
When you open up for people to voice their opinion, people feel involved. So the interaction creates a constructive discussion. Mentimeter makes meeting more fun, efficient, and effective.
Okay, so that's Mentimeter. Now, I know some of you secondary teachers were going, there's no way I'm going to let the kids have their phone in a classroom. It's not part of the school's policy. So this, again, is maybe a tool that I was thinking more towards perhaps collaborating with other staff members, or those of you who are out in RTOs or in, in the universities where you're wanting to engage with your students and give them an opportunity to be able to answer questions. When we used this yesterday, I actually ran an activity using Myers-Briggs type indicator around personality types. And so we had a quick activity where people logged in. I created a presentation. I got them to do a questionnaire around the 20, different questionnaire around personality types. So they could then come up with their 4-letter code. And then we had some fun around that, around, what celebrities do they think are extroverts, introverts, and using Mentimeter, they were able to sort of engage with each other without, anonymously. So Janine and I know Megan's here as well today, and Kate, do you want to have any input about how you found your interaction with Mentimeter yesterday? Can anyone?
I was waiting for Megan or Janine to jump in, but it was really interactive and good. So I think it is a great tool to use. I'm not sure what the process of setting it up was like, Donna. Did it take much of your time, or?
That's a great question, Kate. And
I suppose we're all learning.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, because when I went into it, I was kind of like, okay, right. I really had this idea that I wanted to make our session yesterday engaging, and because of social distancing, I thought we can't all sort of run around with each other. So how do I use something that's an interactive way? And so when I came across Mentimeter, I'd seen it used in a conference before and really liked it. So when it came to setting up, I've actually put a link on the screen, which is on the right-hand side. So this lady here has actually created how to set up Mentimeter for educators. So it was 40 minutes. I just went in and watched that, and it went through all the different slide presentations and how you can build out your presentation. So I would say, it wasn't that difficult. Once I kind of knew the content that I wanted to develop into the presentation, being able to watch that tool was really helpful. So yes, thanks for that. It was good. It was good. It was good to be able to put it together. How about Janine or Megan? Any views on how you felt the interactive presentation went for you yesterday?
Hi, Donna. I thought it was fun. I think even for a bunch of adults, it's hard to keep people's attention. So any sort of novelty factor that helps get the message across, I think is a win-win.
Yeah, great. Great. So the way that I envisage this could be used in your career practice is if, again, you've got a group of students, you're wanting to ask them, you might want to be doing like a personality quiz, you might want to do a little career quiz with them. And the idea is that they can actually engage with the content, but it's anonymous. So the idea is that you create your presentation, they then get the code to that Mentimeter presentation. As the questions fly up on the screen, the students just answer that through their phone. And then the results then get projected up onto the screen so everyone can engage with the content and the answers. What was really lovely yesterday is that I actually created a word cloud where I asked the question, what type of personality do you have? Or what are your personality traits? And it was wonderful because we had 14 in the room and there was all these words popping up on the screen, but the words that people had put the same were bigger. So it was lovely to see as a team what people's perceived their personality traits were. And so the main key words that were popping out that people had all put the same answer was caring, passionate. And they were great ways to describe how we kind of perceived ourselves anyway. So being able to interact and use a sort of an interactive presentation was a really great way to be able to interact with your classes. It's a great way to be able to ask, you know, if you're wanting to do any learning. I know on the presentation that the lady shows on the screen there, she did one around geography, you know, so asking students, you know, a series of questions, they have little competitions and students can just engage with that content and then it gets shared on the screen. So I'm not sure if many people have come across interactive presentations, but I thought it was a fantastic way to be able to add to the way you engage with your students. So I thought worth mentioning here today. So that's interactive presentations and Mentimeter. So let's move on. On to the next one. So the last part I wanted to share with you today is again Careers Outreach and the Mobile Student Hub, which is obviously an initiative through Study Gold Coast. So you can see on the screen here in the top right hand corner is our Gold Coast Student Mobile Hub. So this is where we can go out to our member organisations. It's an interactive zone. It's really a passive approach to career education. I know a number of you have used the service before, and hopefully you can attest to how your students find that service. But the mobile hub, this image at the top was where I went to Somerset last year and I delivered a couple of workshops out of the back of the van and it was all around career topics. The TV screen there can also connect to a Nintendo Switch. So, you know, students can engage while I'm talking to students around career opportunities and pathways. They can actually then have a go on the Mario Kart Nintendo Switch as well. So we take the mobile hub out to different organisations. We can turn up to, you know, set planning evenings. We can turn up to Careers Expo. And it's just another way for students to engage with the conversation around careers and employability. So the Careers Outreach Program, I also deliver a number of presentations to our member organisations as well, which again, I know a number of you have engaged with also. So I thought this would just be an opportunity just to remind you of that service. On the screen now is a list of the number of topics that I can deliver. Again, I kind of do tailor these depending on what your needs are, but I've delivered, you know, future career insights to students. What are their options post-study? A common theme that I keep finding, particularly with the high school students, is they're not understanding the difference between, you know, common words like what's an occupation, what's a vacation, what's a career, what's a job, you know, they're all the same. They don't understand those things. And they don't understand necessarily what are their options. So having another person to come in and have a different point of view seems to be quite successful as well. We've also got this career planning, digital footprint. So there's a number of topics that I can obviously come out and deliver with your students. As Janine mentioned, we're hoping with this government funding we're applying for that we'll be able to scale up the careers outreach so we can get out to more of you. But again, if this is a service that you think your organisation would certainly like to use, then please feel free to get in touch with me. The email is at the top of the page as well. Okay, so that's the careers outreach topics. These are again just a few images of the mobile hub in action. So it's been a lot of fun. And I really just wanted to finish off today's session, just getting some more input from you about how we can make the Careers Alliance better, how we can grow it, how we can support each other. What are the topics that you'd love for us to engage with you, or what are areas where you would love some more support? So if we could spend sort of the last 10 minutes of today's session having an open discussion, I'd really value that. what I thought we could do is using this PowerPoint, I can just pop up any ideas on the screen and have a look at how we can engage further with you. So can I open up the floor now? And if you want to either speak, feel free, or if you're happy just to use the chat function, do that as well. I just noticed that Lynn mentioned about that she's used Mentimeter before. That's great, Lynn, and she said that she also agrees it would be a great platform for students to engage with. So thanks for that, Lynn. So can we maybe start with what I'll do is I'm just going to escape out of that. So I thought I'd just pop this up here so that we can go through and add. So I would love to get some ideas around potential topics that you'd like us to cover, whether we do some more career series, you know, where we look at interview techniques, if we look at what's happening in the world of job applications. I'd also love to hear about, we thought the next meeting we'd have is try and do a face-to-face one in August, and then again have our final one at the end of November. Again, if you've got any books that you'd like to share, please feel free to put that in the chat and I can add that in there as well. Again, any guest speakers that you'd love to hear from, and again, any resources that you'd like to share or you'd like me to find that I can share with you. So can I just open it up, and if anyone would like to add any content, please, now's your chance.
Hi Donna, March here from PSD. I don't have too much practically speaking. I just wanted to say I got so much out of this session, and particularly about the first part, the different websites that you've shown us. There's a lot that I'm going to be implementing with my students, so it's great. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you.
And I would love to see more of these sessions, because today was amazing. There was a lot of information and we had to go through a lot quite quickly. I personally wouldn't mind having more frequent, shorter sessions to learn a bit more about the resources. Yeah, that's my 5 cents.
So how would you like that to look when you mean, so what, having less content but more often?
Yeah. So for example, go for an hour session, and in the beginning the few different websites you showed us, like the My Future and the Jumpstart and that sort of stuff, between taking notes and listening to that, it all went quite quick. There was a lot of information that we went through, so I think yeah, more frequent sessions focusing on a few less topics would be wonderful.
Okay, great. So with that in mind, what sort of topic did you find? So just more like the online tools?
Yeah, I love the online tools, because that's something that I would very much implement in my classes with the students.
Great. So any specific topics?
I think particularly the career planning and the Jumpstart tools, where they learn quite practically, about resume building and job interviews and that sort of stuff.
So more sort of like activities?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, great. Let's spell that. Perfect. Activities. All right, so some online tools, career planning tools, activities, so applications.
Yeah, great.
Interview. Great, because there's so many, and today I really wasn't sure how much or how less to share. So that's great to have that input. Okay, perfect. Anything else? And so I just missed your name.
March from PSD, Prestige Service Company.
Thanks, Marge. I'm just going to add little notes down there. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, Marge. Now, so again, you reckon again, so let's go more often. And would you...
So can I just chime in as well, Donna? If we'd had more often, is that more often virtually? Because obviously if we're looking at trying to connect physically in venue spaces, is that something that everyone has the time to sort of turn up to and attend?
So maybe preferences. Who do we prefer to have a? Because the other thing I thought we could either do face to face, and the only thing we do face to face, it's going to be longer. So I guess it's trying to work out, are people happy to have 1 hour sessions, or maybe if we do 4 sessions, for example, but one's face to face and then one's a 1 hour webinar. What would people's preferences be?
Yeah, what about one?
Oh, sorry, Helen. I think that was you, Helen. We just can't hear you very well.
Yeah, sorry. What about one face-to-face and then, some short webinars?
Yeah. What do people think about that? So maybe a combo?
Yeah, I like the combination idea. I think when you've got a lot of people in a room together, like when all the ILOs get together, we collaborate a lot on things. I find those face-to-face sessions that we've had have been extremely useful.
Great. So maybe we combine that. So maybe like if we get some guest speakers, we save those for our face-to-face. And then if we do 1 hour webinars, that can be more around content sharing, online resources type things. What do people think about that?
That sounds brilliant. And I actually have to go, Donna, but I really like that
Oh,
idea.
was that you, Helen?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going. Okay, bye. Thanks.
Yeah, gotta go.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Right, anybody else? So if we combine face-to-face with... Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to add?
Yeah, Donna, I think it might be good to have a look at some of the trends of the future world of work, and maybe we could look at some resources that are predicting where jobs are going in the future. I know that at Griffith we have a lot of resources that look at, you know, unique jobs that don't even exist yet. I thought that might be a really good resource or something to have a look at.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, great. Because I think that would be, you know, so we could be looking, say, at different skills as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, looking at, you know, blockchain, you know, things like that. So maybe identifying what are those future work trends, and then maybe even getting industry involved.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really relevant at the moment.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I agree. Great. Anything else you want to add? How do you feel about that setup around how often we meet, Sam?
Yeah, I think definitely, you know, this isolation's shown us that webinars are a good tool, and I think it's, you know, to get regular meetings, that's really great. And like everyone said, maybe once or twice a year we can meet in person to, you know, build that connection. But yeah, but this is great.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Okay, who else would like to share? Who haven't we heard from yet? All right, well, unless there's anything else to cover, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to jump online this morning. And I apologize for the my video not working, and hopefully that's not you know, damaged the presentation too much. And I'll certainly take on board all the comments that you shared with us, and yeah, I really look forward to connecting with you again. I imagine we'll probably try and connect again in August. So we'll send out an invite, and yeah, hopefully we'll have some great information to share with you then. So until that time, take care, everybody. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all in person.
Thanks so much for today.
No problem. Thanks much. Take care. Bye.